It's Ant Hill show time.
Yes,
Are
that's
you
true.
ready, Jay Hill, for the Ant Hill show?
When am I not?
Yeah, that's true. Jay Hill stays ready.
Stay.
He ain't got to
If you
get ready because he
He's staying
stays ready.
Yeah.
Business ready for business. And Jay, the 49ers are ready for business because this is the road to the Super Bowl. It's fully laid out now. The San Francisco 49ers are the number 2 seed. The last time we talked, we didn't know exactly. It would look like the 2 seed was probably where they're going to land. But they land with a 2 seed and a familiar foe for the Seattle Seahawks. Of course, we're going to get into the Seahawks a lot during this episode, but I kind of want to just go through the 49ers road to the Super Bowl and what it would look like. First off, what did you think about, them being 2 and then the matchup against the Seahawks because the Packers blew it on Sunday night?
It was a dream come true. It absolutely worked out so well. Thank you, Dan Campbell. Thank you, Jared Goff. Like that. Just side note, that team showed me some big coconuts to get out. And with the draft capital that they have coming up in April, they might be my early prediction to win that division next year. I did call the Vikings this year, too.
Yeah, you did. It wouldn't surprise me. I think, the Vikings have some issues on defense that they're going to have to, get over. So you're right. Detroit's probably an early favorite in the NFC North. The thing is now that it's all set up, we know what the matchups are for the first round, but a lot of things can change for the 49ers in the second round. One thing that won't with them winning against Arizona is they got a home game, right, in the divisional round.
Coming to Levi's no matter what.
The easiest way for to know who the 49ers are playing is on Sunday. The Minnesota Vikings will square up with the New York Giants. If Minnesota wins, 49ers play the Minnesota Vikings more than likely on Saturday. That will probably of the divisional round. If the Giants win, then all eyes go to Monday Night Football for Tom Terrific and Tom Brady against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Dallas Cowboys, and the winner of that would head to Levi's in the divisional round.
Mike McCarthy coaching for his job, maybe. In that game.
I mean,
Sean Payton's hanging out there still.
I think anything short of a
NFC Championship,
Super Bowl, appearance, I think that Sean Payton's probably a realistic option to head to Dallas and take over that team as long as Sean Payton is willing to deal with Jerry Jones.
I mean, he was on the staff with Parcells. They have a good relationship, so I still think he's holding out for that LA job, though. I still think he wants that one.
To see if McVay leaves?
No, the other LA job.
Oh, the Chargers job. Okay. Because, McVay will just open it up.
He's not leaving.
Did you hear what he told his staff?
That a couple staff guys that he probably didn't want to necessarily fire, he's given an option to go job hunting. I think this smells.
Oh, wow.
This smells of maybe a little extra money, maybe a little more personnel say, maybe. I don't think he's leaving. I would be surprised at minimum if he says I'm leaving and taking Fox money or Amazon money or whatever. Now I'll tell you this. That being said, if Amazon lets Kirk Herbstreit go out of his contract, which with the expanded college football playoff is possible, because ESPN is not going to want him, all over the place when the playoff goes 12. So if he's not back at Amazon, then I'll be a little less surprised. But as of right now, nowhere for McVay to go. So
yeah, we don't know. That's the one thing. The one thing I do know, Jason, is the road for the 49ers to the Super Bowl.
You're trying to get us back there again.
I am. I'm trying to take you back. You went on a detour.
I did.
And I'm bringing you back. And I'm bringing you back to the easiest road for the 49ers is probably the Minnesota Vikings coming to Levi Stadium.
Yeah, just keep on winning.
Yeah.
That's the easiest road. So
Minnesota, then potentially the fallout of Philly, Dallas, Philly, and Tom Brady. Just call them the Tom Bradys at this point.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and then that's kind of how the road goes. But I do have a question for you, because who is the biggest threat in the NFC to the 49ers?
Ourselves.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Like as long as we don't lose the turnover battle, take dumb penalties, or have a major injury, we shouldn't lose until potentially the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think it is about, making sure you execute, do your job. 49ers have played very, very good over the last 5 to 6 games. Actually, they played fantastic. So I think you're right. They're the biggest threat is to themselves. You got question marks with pretty much every other team right now in the NFC besides the 49ers.
And putting health on the Eagles.
Yeah, the health on the Eagles. That's a good
big
point.
one.
So let's get into this 49ers versus Seahawks game. It's a 3 times now, Jason. This is going to be the 3rd time that the 49ers and Seahawks are going to line up against each other. It's still 76% of the time, that the team that, plays for the 3rd time, the winning team usually wins again. And it's even more than that when you play at home. So the 49ers definitely have an advantage there. What is your first thoughts on this matchup between 49ers and Seahawks?
I'm very curious because this is also the first time that a team will have a second shot at Brock too.
Right.
So, and he being the defensive minded guy that he is, I'm curious to see what he'll come up with, blitz packages and that kind of stuff to try and confuse him. Now, but there's 2 caveats there though too. Is their middle linebacker and my God, his name is
Jordan Brooks
is out for the year because he tore his ACL a couple of weeks ago, and that, if you guys remember in the games against us, that dude is around the ball a lot. So that's a big loss for them. And one of the other things that people who are Seattle fans collectively seem to forget, that they never played this roster fully healthy. Week 2, we didn't have Kittle.
True.
Week 13 or whatever it was, we didn't have Debo.
15.
Week 15, we didn't have Debo. And so this is the first time that they'll have seen our entire offense with Purdy in there. And I think that is something that will give the Seahawks nightmares.
Yeah, week 2 they also didn't have Christian McCaffrey. So they, that's the thing. They've never really seen the offense with McCaffrey, Debo. George Kittle's playing at an all-time high, 7 touchdowns in the last 4 games. In a time where Travis Kelce got 0, George Kittle got 7. It's been a spectacular, and 7 touchdowns with Brock Purdy.
Yep.
4 touchdowns with Jimmy Garoppolo, 7 with Brock Purdy.
Brock's a smart guy.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is right, Debo and is going to add something extra to this offense. You're going to have to pay attention to him. I mean, it was just last week against Arizona. You start looking at Debo and Christian McCaffrey in the backfield together. Next thing you know, Kyle Juszczyk's open over the middle of the field, no one within 10 yards, and he runs for 26 yards. Mm-hmm. Those are the types of things that happen. We have to pay so much attention. And they still have a huge matchup problem with Cody Barton, the linebacker. That who's he going to be able to cover one of these running backs in the flat? He can't.
Nobody.
That means you have to put Ryan Neal, one of the safeties, Quandre Diggs,
Mitchell, too.
Oh, Elijah Mitchell adding to the run game as well. You're right.
He looked really good against Arizona. Man, he looked good.
And that's one thing I wanted to talk about. The 49ers are at full strength right now.
For the first time all year.
Elijah Mitchell comes back. There's only 2 guys right now that are injured. That's Jimmy Garoppolo, who likelihood will be back for the NFC Championship game. He's walking as far as full. You don't want him for a backup? You'd rather have Josh Johnson?
No, as a backup, yeah, 100% as a backup.
Don't make the mouth marks. Close your mouth. What are you doing?
But I don't want anyone to even ponder the idea of, let's play Jimmy in the NFC. No.
Well, the thing is,
we're riding with Brock the whole way, folks.
We are riding with Brock, but here's the thing. 2 weeks is a lifetime in the playoffs. We're going to have a really good idea of where Brock is at and where he's not. And the 49ers have overcome mediocre to bad quarterback play
in playoffs
in recent history. And not just Jimmy, but even beyond that. Because there were times that the 49ers defenses had to carry them in the playoffs. So I think that Brock Purdy, we're going to see what he is. But, if something happens, I want a experienced quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo, because I like Josh Johnson, but Jimmy's a better quarterback than Josh Johnson.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying because he understands offense and all that. But to me, Jimmy would be a nice backup for the NFC Championship game. Heaven forbid something happens to Brock. You roll in with Jimmy Garoppolo, he's the guy, at least a caliber of player that can get you to the NFC Championship and help you get to the Super Bowl, because the sum of weapons is better than Jimmy Garoppolo's ever had on his team too.
It's also true. That's one of the things I was thinking about when I was kind of about the show today. Was this team is so much better than 19. Across the board, this team is better on both sides of the ball, and just the experience. That 19 team was really good. They were 7-13 away from having number 6, but this team is infinitely better, though. and they're faster, they're more explosive, they're more athletic, they're more physical. Like this, across the board, it's a better team, a better roster than that team had. So expectation now that we're fully healthy is roll it up.
Yeah, I think another area where they're a lot stronger, and you don't ultimately think of it right away, is the offensive line.
The interior offensive line.
This offensive line is ranked up in the top 5 according to PFF, where in 2019 it was ranked 19th. That's a huge improvement overall. I think that is pretty interesting. And Aaron Banks is back, which means you go Aaron Banks back on the left side. Your right side is Burford and Brunskill again. That has been the best work, because then when you get to the fourth quarter, Brunskill and Burford are still ready to roll. And Burford's able to make the blocks he needs to make, and Brunskill can get downfield on the plays Kyle likes to run with him, the screens and all of that. To me, that has been a huge factor. And the 49ers, as far as strength, this is the strongest they've been all year. And I think that's good news. Going into the playoffs, you want to be at your best, and I think they're going to be at their best.
Since Brock came in, they're the highest scoring offense in the entire league.
Yeah, they are. And right now,
33 points a game.
And even with the early part of the season, right, the struggles with points and all that, the 49ers still finished as 5th best in the league, as points per game, with 26 plus points per game. To me, they've been fantastic on offense, and a lot of that has to do, like you brought up, with the weapons. And the defense has been pretty good, too. And Drake Greenlaw's coming back, which means you go back to your normal rotation of Greenlaw being on there in sub packages and your nickels. Not Azeez Al-Shire. I think that's an improvement when you're in the coverage game. And what that means is when you get out there, you can put Charvarius Ward on DK Metcalf, and you can put, when Tyler Lockett goes to the slot,
in his head,
you put Jimmy Ward there. Jimmy only gave up 2 catches last time to Tyler Lockett.
Rent free.
And they can go ahead and give help with Drake Greenlaw. They can cover Kenneth Walker out of the backfield. To me, the 49ers match up really well against what Seattle wants to do, and Drake Greenlaw is a big reason why.
Yep. He makes the thing really be dynamic.
Now, we mentioned it, right? The third game. Is this a real problem, Jason? The third time that these teams are matching up. We've talked about it before. Like, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. Do you think this is something that Pete Carroll can kind of get to the Seahawks to say, hey, third time's the charm for us. We're going to get them. We know what they're about now. We can get after them.
I mean, knowing Pete, that's exactly what he's going to do, and that's exactly why he said what he said yesterday.
Unfortunately,
we're playing the 49ers. They're really, really good. Like he's building the Niners up to come in Saturday morning and be like, hey, the whole world knows that they should beat us. The whole world knows that they're way better than we are on paper. Let's go out there and kick their ass.
I mean, do you think he also says it right? I mean, because that's the old Bill Walsh thing, right? How are we going to stop Marino?
Yeah, exactly.
And the Marks brothers, and their offense is so good, we won't even score a point.
We're lucky to have to do anything against them. Yeah,
it's that thing. Could it also be that he's hoping the 49ers will read their own press clippings and settle in? Because, I mean, Nick Bosa self-admitted that they took Jarrett Stidham softly, right? Yep. They didn't really take him serious. So I think that he's trying to get them to do that. I don't think that's the case. This is the freaking playoffs. These 49er players understand what it means. I think it's a good idea from Pete Carroll.
Oh, it's a hell of a try. But absolutely.
Yeah, third time's not the charm. I think this is the finish him moment. Yeah. 4 years, go in there and handle it, and maybe officially exercise all the demons. The Russell Wilson, he's gone. This could kind of, a playoff win against the Seahawks would exercise some demons that the 49ers have been dealing with for a while.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more about Brock, because right now the national media, and you watch a lot of the national stuff to kind of get an idea what's going on. They're pump the brakes on Brock. He hasn't had any snaps in the playoffs. We don't know what we're going to get
every week, and I think if we're being honest ourselves, every week we've had those same questions. Okay, like he hasn't done this yet. Box checked. He hasn't had a fourth quarter comeback on the road. Box checked. So at every time that we've had a question for him to add that to, okay, he got that. He's checked every box. So
I would like to say, since Seattle on the road, I've no longer been looking for anything.
Well, yeah.
I haven't been, like, I know you talked about the close game against the Raiders. I knew he was going to do that. I didn't see that. I didn't need to see that. This dude just showed up. I had a question about him in a hostile environment. He answered every single question in that. Since then, I've been full in on Brock.
Yeah, absolutely. But so for them, they obviously need to have an angle or something to discuss. So you throw out the next card. Okay, next card says, "Hey, you've never been in the playoffs yet." He hasn't. That's true. Guess what? By what we've all seen so far, if you doubt him, you're probably going to be on the wrong side of that take. So let him prove us wrong at this point. I've seen enough to believe that we can. And the other thing, too, is I always say no rookie quarterbacks ever won a Super Bowl. What the hell was Kurt Warner?
Yeah, I guess he wasn't officially a rookie because he had been with the Packers, and he had been kind of around.
He never played he never had taken an NFL snap. So
yeah, I think the way the NFL does it is it's 1 year after the draft that they were entered in is their rookie season. It's not like baseball when you have a 35-year-old rookie come up. It's just a little bit different the way they go about it. But you're right, a guy in his first year starting, Kurt Warner, did take a team to a Super Bowl and win.
A very similar style team where kind of an unproven quarterback. Now, I will say Kurt was a little less mobile and had a bigger arm, but he had Marshall Faulk, he had Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, he had a really good defense, and he just got the ball out. Got it to the guy who was open, and then what was it?
Aziz Al. Oh no, it was
Al something Hakeem. His name was Hakeem, right?
Yeah, Oz Hakeem. I think that's what they ended up calling him, Oz Hakeem, because there was like an extra. But Oz Hakeem, he was explosive.
He was.
You're right. But I think this is a little bit of a different circumstance because he was seasoned in the fact that he was now in farther along in his life. He was married. He had done with the barnstormers,
bagging groceries.
He was grizzled. He was a veteran. He was ready,
and he had half of the entire training camp all the way through too. So.
Yeah, and Brock Purdy. He wasn't, and I don't think in the back of Brock Purdy's mind, he should have thought he was going to be out there. But for some reason, I believe he's been preparing the whole time, believing
I think he always has.
He was going to get the opportunity to do so. I don't really have fears about Brock Purdy in the playoffs. I think he's going to do a good job. And really, if he plays at the level that he's been playing, he doesn't have to be more than Brock Purdy. You don't have to take on the world. Yeah. Just be Brock and let your playmakers do it. And I think that's plenty enough for the 49ers to beat the Seahawks and potentially go, as far as they want to go. So let's talk about Brock Purdy. You mentioned it earlier, which was great. The Seattle Seahawks seeing Brock Purdy for the second time. They're the first team that is getting to see Brock Purdy for the second time. What are your thoughts on what Pete is going to do? And do you think that's going to have an effect on Brock Purdy and the 49ers offense?
I would think they'll try and put more pressure on him up middle to force him to either have to get rid of the ball quick but see, even if they do that though, because he's so good once he's outside the pocket making the right decision, that seems like that'd be faulty, but I don't really think I either that or they might try and play more coverage and try and confuse him that way.
I think they want to speed up his clock. I think you're right. They want to put pressure. And I don't think you're wrong that they want to get pressure up the middle. But I think what they're going to do is take a page out of what Arizona did. And instead of bringing those guys on the outside full go, your Bruce Irvins, your Nwosu, your boy Mafi, like those guys off the edge, instead of bringing them full speed every time, is sometimes just let them quarterback contain. Bring the pressure up the middle, and then when Brock tries to escape, then get him, like Isaiah Simmons did in that game. Yeah. Here's the problem, though. If you're bringing extra pressure, I've seen Brock Purdy in the face of pressure. Just go look at the Miami film.
Yeah,
he'll find the open receiver.
That game.
And if you start having, opportunities for him to get wide open receivers, or even one-on-one matchups, and that offensive line is able to hold up just a little bit, then you get Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, or George Kittle in space. It's touchdown city. So I think that it's a dangerous game. I think you're right. Pete's going to try to confuse them, look for them to run some of those lurk and robber type roles where you get that safety over the middle of the field like Quandre Diggs did and almost intercepted it in the Thursday night football game.
Doink.
But remember also, everyone, Brock Purdy was not healthy in their first matchup.
His ribs were jacked up.
He was messed up with the oblique and the ribs, and he did not have a full week to prepare, including he didn't throw a single pass
the entire week
before the game. So even though they're going to see Brock Purdy, I can guarantee right now, the way that Kyle Shanahan goes with installation of plays, this is going to be something different than Seattle's ever saw. They're not going to be prepared for what the 49ers are bringing.
That's what I think too. And Kyle knows him well enough from even his days on the staff with his dad, where he's going to have an idea of what he's going to. It's like the enemy of my enemy is my enemy. Like he's going to have a pretty good kind of, him and Mike are going to sit there and probably kind of have a pretty good plan of, okay, he'll probably try this, tendencies of this. Like it's going to be fascinating to watch, but at the same time, they don't have the talent to actually make it actually a problem, though.
No, and I think one of the big problems is going to be stopping the 49ers run game. And that's one of the Seahawks are going to have to do is stop the 49ers run game, because if that running game gets going, and it did in week 2 for 189 yards, in week 15, 170 yards, if you can't stop the run game, you're going to be in trouble. And why do you do the...
Well, because if we subtract the Jordan Mason carry...
Right? Was it not against their starting defense?
No, let me finish. The yards per carry was not dominant. It was... And I think part of that was because Brock was hurt. I think Kyle was trying to minimize his injury risk. But that being said, like I said, the yards per carry was not dominant, but they just kept pounding it at them because had to keep, they were head by enough and had to keep Brock upright. So
yeah, it didn't need to be dominant because the Seattle Seahawks have scored 1 offensive touchdown in 2 games. 1 blocked field goal, and then the 1 touchdown where he finds the open tight end in the back.
Noah Fant got uncovered.
That's one of those ones where Hufanga looks at Greenlaw looks at Hufanga. Yeah, somebody's fault, right? I know Greenlaw was supposed to carry him a little bit deeper, but that's Hufanga's guy.
It is.
It's and
that's my biggest worry.
I will give Hufanga credit. I knew last week was going to be easier because there's simpler reads against Cliff Kingsbury's offense with the mirrored concepts and everything, but Hufanga was right on everybody he was supposed to be on. It was almost like message received, right?
Yeah. And I think D'Amico called his ass out.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing, And sometimes you have to be called out. Now, as far as the Seahawks defense, I think a lot of this, it has to go with their interior defensive line, and their interior defensive line has been injured all year, and they're still having guys miss practice. Yep. If they don't have those big guys on the interior, they're going to be in a world of hurt. And if the 49ers do establish a run game, and now they'll have Elijah Mitchell, who they haven't really had at all, him and Christian McCaffrey together with Deep, as well as I do, Debo's going to get the ball out of the backfield. Mm-hmm. People can say what they want, but it's going to happen.
It will.
I think it'll be more sporadic, but to me, this offense just has so much. I don't know how Seattle stops it. I know Tariq Woolen can go out there and battle with Brandon Ayuk, but where's the other matchup where they can take one of these 49ers weapons away?
Doesn't really.
Right?
It honestly, that's
every other corner, right? Is it's a mismatch. Is T. Tabor gonna take someone away? No. Is Kobe Bryant gonna take someone away? No, I don't think so either. And then what are you gonna have? You're gonna have Cody Barton lined up on Kyle Juszczyk or even Christian McCaffrey.
Whoever he's on should be an auto go to just get the ball to that guy and go
And with the personnel groupings, you can keep him on the field.
Yep.
And now you don't have Jordan Brooks. I mean, to me, this is one of those ones the 49ers mismatch as far as offense to Seattle's defense is very apparent.
And I'm surprised, too, because when the playoff thing was first out Sunday night, it started off at like 10.5 point spread. It's down to 9. So I'm looking, I'm like, why is it coming down? Like,
too much action on the 49ers, maybe? Or maybe too much action on Seattle because of the 10 points.
But then, I just like an hour ago, a Vegas sports book said that we're actively rooting for the Niners to lose early because there's so much money coming on them to win it all. They're like, we're gonna get smoked if they win it all. So I'm like, hey guys, I don't need you guys telling that at the NFL. I don't want you guys to cause any nefarious refereeing to happen now, but
yeah, let me ask you this. What is the best way for the 49ers defense to slow the Seahawks?
Control Kenneth Walker.
Right.
That's that simple.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting, Jason, is over the last 2 games, the Seattle Seahawks rushing attack has almost went for 200 yards in back-to-back games.
Yep.
198 and 197. That's pretty good. And you're right. It's about stopping Kenneth Walker. Now, here was one thing that's interesting. I even said it to Horse on Slightly. Slightly Offside's available on Patreon exclusively. So go check that out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice promo.
That's
well done.
That's how we do it.
Professional.
And
grade.
And I was talking to him about it. And, the one thing that I brought up was I forgot Kenneth Walker played in the week 15 matchup.
Got stuffed.
They had 70 total yards rushing against the 49ers. And that was no Kinlaw, right? I mean, that to me, the 49ers defense is, of course, the best run defense. And I like Kenneth Walker. I like his explosiveness. I like the way
he's going to be a problem for us for
right. And he gets
a few years to come.
Right, he breaks tackles like he's tough.
He is.
But to me, I mean, I think you're right. You got to stop the run game. I think that's the first action. And then I want to see if you agree with this. My thought is you do the same thing you did last time as far as Charvarius Ward. Put him on DK Metcalf.
Oh, yeah.
And you say, all right, DK, you're taking away. You're going to get 4 catches for 33 yards. Oh, okay, great. And enjoy your non-explosive day. And then what you do is they're probably going to put somebody else on the outside like Cade Johnson because they're going to want Lockett working in the slot against Jimmy Ward. Ward only gave up 2 catches last time. So you allow Cade Johnson and Deommodore Lenoir to battle. That's a win for Deommodore Lenoir. He should be able to handle Cade Johnson.
What about is Marquise?
Marquise is on the IR.
Oh, he got IR.
Yeah, they have no speed on the outside now. Cade Johnson is probably like their DK is their fastest receiver.
The fastest,
but Tyler Lockett's not overly fast. He's not overly big. He's not physical.
He's just a good player.
They don't have Eskridge. Eskridge was more speed. He's on IR. Will Dissly, he's on IR.
Yep.
So I mean, they got Cody Parkinson coming from the tight end position, and Noah Fant. To me, they're weapons. You can bracket Lockett once you get him in the slot, right?
Yeah.
Jimmy Ward can take him one way, Greenlaw can help take him away from the other spot, or Warner, vice versa. You can use Hufanga in that as well, and you can match up on the outside, Cade Johnson. And if it's Lockett, then you just put Tayshaun Gibson over the top.
Yep.
To me, this is one of those ones where you can figure out a nice defensive philosophy to slow down the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah. No, their stuff starts with Walker and then Metcalf and his big play, because then that will usually get some safety help, and that's when they go Lockett. So if Charvarius can stay glued to him and get like I was saying earlier, like we saw, as soon as he started doing all this stuff to him, he was toast. Like after that, he was a non-factor.
Yeah. That's the thing. You just want to slow up DK. One of the ways to do that is get physical and just never let him get his route started. Yep. So you're right. And that's one of the things they're going to have to make sure they do. And I think that is a good way. The one thing I did want to ask you, and I didn't make a topic for, but I was gonna ask you about
bonus topic
is weather. Do you believe this rain that is going to be here in Northern California, and now I'm seeing a half inch of rain on rain day, or on game day?
Rain day.
Rain day.
Rain day.
Welcome
to Levi. This rain day.
Do you believe that that's going to have an effect on the game, and will that be negatively or positively for the 49ers?
It'll be negative and positive for both teams. Like, I'm sure there might be a ball that Brock has maybe it's a little wet and slips. I'm sure that'll happen for Gino. I'm sure there's a potential that on a double move, the DBs for either team could fall down. That's the weather to me is probably the biggest concern, because that enters too many variables. Like, we literally have sat out here for the last 20 minutes and talked about X's and O's and player matchups. Those are non-variables. Like, that's actual stuff that we can see, and our coaches can dictate. What they can't control is weather. So I'm hoping that they keep the tarp on the game or on the field until like 12 o'clock.
Yeah, I think they're going to keep the field dry. Of course they're going to have, the pregame warmups. They always have to do that. And I'm hoping it's changed. 2 days ago, I looked at the weather, and it was 1 inch of rain. Now it's a half an inch of rain. So things change here in Northern California a lot. We've been living through it. There's been wild 2 weeks. The other day, the thunderstorms when I was outside working looked like it was Oklahoma.
I slept through all that stuff.
It was insane. It was a light show, Jason.
I know. I was mad I missed it.
Yeah. So it's
love some lightning.
It was wild. I think I don't. Here's a reason I'm going to put it. I don't know if anyone would actually argue this, but I'm going to. I haven't heard anyone say it would be the 49ers positive for there to be rain. And normally I believe it can neutralize a better team's advantage. But here's why it could be a 49ers advantage. The 49ers are plus 13 in turnovers. Seattle Seahawks are plus 2. The Seattle Seahawks turn the ball over at a higher rate than the 49ers. The 49ers least amount of turnovers in the entire league at 17, where they create 30. Geno Smith, literally I went through the stats. This is nuts. The Seattle Seahawks have turned the ball over in every single game except one. That means 16 times they're going to turn over the ball. It's inevitable. Yep. And as long as you play pretty much turnover-free football, you can win, and I think the 49ers can do it even in the rain. Plus, Seattle, even though they're from the Pacific Northwest,
they play on turf, though.
And they practice indoors.
Inside, yep.
That doesn't. Where are the 49ers at right now? Working out and practice outside. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Well, you're saying about the turnovers, I think it's the last 5 games, Geno's had at least 2 picks.
Yeah, so he's been turning over the football, and they have changed their methodology because they went on a little stretch where they were losing. They have put even more focus on running the football over the last few weeks and play defense, and you see their scoring totals go down. Way down. I mean, they're in the low 20s now as far as production, where they were scoring high before but losing because their defense was on the field too long. So that's something to monitor. Now let's get your wow, that's really bold prediction. Whoa, it's got to be really bold. Whoa. Really bold. You can do bold. I'm just playing it up, That super wild card bold.
I don't really know.
Jay Hill's struggling. So I'll tell you what Horse really bold prediction was. Horse really bold prediction.
He's gonna eat
was that Debo was gonna catch a touchdown and run for a touchdown in this game.
That's possible.
Yeah. That was his bold prediction.
I'm going to go with Ayuk has 2 touchdowns and 110 plus yards.
Ooh, there you go. So Ayuk, if hopefully yours and Horse come true, and then the 49ers are
28 right there.
49ers are straight rolling into the divisional round.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So let's get your score prediction, Jason. 49ers, Seahawks. Finally get to put your dad's team out to pasture for the season. I'm sure the Rev will love that.
Oh yeah, no, it was funny because I was at their house on Sunday night watching the Packers game and playing with the puppies and stuff, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is so exciting! Yeah, we're in." Who your prize is, huh? And he goes, "I mean," I was like, "You guys get to come to Levi's," and he goes, "Good, not good at all." I said, "Nope, it's not going to be very good, huh?" Because the Niners are going to win 34-13.
34-13. Horseman with 34-10. You guys are on the same wavelength. I like it. Hey, both of them dominating victories. So I like that. Now, Jason, I have a stat, and I don't know if you've heard this yet, but I've been waiting for the end of the episode for this. So, the 49ers have given up 100 yards in combined yardage to one running back this season. Which running back is it?
Ours.
Yeah, it's Christian McCaffrey.
Yep, it's McCaffrey.
Yeah, when he was with Carolina, he got just over 100 yards, 104, 54 yards rushing. I believe it was 50 receiving. And what a performance! But I know you enjoy the stats, so I wanted to bring that up. Pretty interesting.
It was. Here's one thing too. I thought was Tim Ryan. Your favorite.
I do like Tim Ryan. He's funny.
Come around,
especially since he said the things about Mike Purcell in that one game. What is he doing out there? Get him out of there! He's terrible.
He said, as professional as John and Kyle have built this organization, he said, I'll tell you listeners this. If you compare the team in 19 at this point to the team now, 9 day. He said that the professionalism, preparation, the maturity, the focus. He said, I've never seen a team that's more laser focused on one thing and one thing only. It's a search and destroy. Who's ever in our way, I mean, he was not the usual upbeat, excited. I mean, it was very cold and just these guys care about one thing: who they're playing and how that helps them get to the Super Bowl. That they have fun, but they are in just a locked mind that I've never seen from a team before. I was like,
Well, I ain't gonna try to one up that. That's some big knowledge coming from Tim Ryan, and he's around the football
he's
team.
there
so
every day, basically.
He'll
So
understand, and so that makes your predictions seem even more realistic. 34-13 from Jason. Let us know what your predictions are in the comment section down below. Of course,
I got some gum for you, Pete.
Yeah,
come on with it.
Game preview show will be coming up from me on Friday, so come check out the game preview show. Other episodes of shows as well. If you're on Patreon, check out Slightly Offsides and the Scouting Report video. Those are over on Patreon. But also check out Cover 2 with Warren. That's available as well. The game preview show, game reaction show after the game. All kinds of stuff coming from the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate it. Huge growth recently. But Jason, this is going to be a fun one, a matchup of rivals from the division. 49ers versus Seahawks. Exercise some demons, get rid of the Hawks, and move on to hopefully the Vikings. But we'll see. It could be it could also end up being Cowboys or Bucs.
I mean, they should beat all those teams regardless, but I just think the Vikings will be a little bit easier.
Yeah. So come back next week. We'll be hopefully celebrating a wild card win and talking about 49ers divisional matchup. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you guys for watching the Ant Hill Show. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Go Niners.
Take the points and run.